Kamsel Yaiboro Number 9 National GSM Operator Kibaro Felentale Gambia Banko Kanjang Sako Milka Koleata ki internet ola karula nyimbanko Kanjang Gamsele kukuto nafe Gambia kuto konojang the fastest data network Gambia Banko Kanjang star 302 star amount has seno lapije flexi data bundle jama saya timpaje drinka tom fokoi na ebe dauda network o se taraje wato tije ajamu mansia koto boy friday WhatsApp Viber FaceTime hananga tana Facebook Insta Twitter Snapchat Gamsel is the new look mobile ni mobile na mobile be Gamsel line na bondulo for flexo Gambia la number 9 you are dealing with professionals customer satisfaction customer la satisfaction
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm in London that can help you with all aspects of your legal work. If you are looking at immigrating to the United Kingdom, Stewart & Co. can help you to set up business, buy houses in the UK, and will deal with all your legal works from start to finish.
For all your general immigration work, we can help you with that as well. If you're applying for any form of visa, whether student visas, settlement visas, marriage visas, or a child wanting to come to the United Kingdom to settle with the family, we can help you to achieve your goals.
Stewart & Co. Solicitors, a legal excellence firm specializing in conveyancing, immigration, litigation, family law, personal injury, licensing, no win, no fee. Contact us today at www.sk-solicitors.com.
In today's world, everything imaginable is on the internet, which is amazing. And to find anything, it is easy. But that's not the case for Lami. His standard internet connection is frustratingly slow, unable to focus on important things in life. He can't stream a video or search anything. He is fed up with messages like address is not found, timeout connection, and Internet Explorer cannot find web page. That's when his friend Fatima introduces him to Gamtel. At Gamtel, we provide viable, cost-effective, and sustainable internet solutions to businesses and homes. With our nationwide fiber broadband connectivity through EcoOne Gambia project, you can now say goodbye to slow internet. We provide quality services, blazing speed, and amazing customer services. All these at affordable price. Be like Lami and start using Gamtel broadband internet today. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
Sophie meew la bu sell te neex baax na ci halal ak mag yépp am na calcium iron protein ak vitamine yu bari Sophie full cream powder milk la am na 20 gram 200 gram ak 400 gram koko ñam dootu ko bàyyi Sophie proudly Gambian.
For us, every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon, to make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy, that daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements, merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.
tanal ma numba yi may tanal ma ba
kon yow li ma la jox si xibaar yëpp doy la
jëlal ma numba rek gawma la
sëñ bi na nga def kii de dama ko jox xibaar gi ma dégg si yéen
waaw loto gi
wax naa ko ne alxames bu nekk ak dimanche bu nekk dañ tànn juróomi nomba si jackpot bi ku gagné juróomi nomba yi tegal nañ la 100 plus 1000 maanaam 2000 junne ak lu teg
waaw
waaye juróomi nomba yi dafa war a méngoo su fekkee ne amoo juróomi nomba yu méngoo am nga 4 nomba yu méngoo yow dinañ la jox bonus foo du noonu la
bonus foo
waaw des na de altine bu jot talaata àllarba ak ajuma ñu génne waat beneen jackpot ne ku gi am 4 nomba yu lëkkaloo ñu tegal la $50,000 maanaam juróom fukki junni waaye nag gis nga boo amee ñetta yu méngoo ñu jox la tam bonus 3 waaye nag xàmmee ko gis nga Gambia géem yi bari nañ de waaye gis nga bii green la xàmmee ko waaw xàmmee ko bu baax a baax feneen foo taxa bur fii di nga perte
lu ma la wax yëpp dëgg la
waaye xam nga lu ma lay xamal ma wax nga naan waaw dëgg la kay yow mi sa kanam guddi gi xam nga ne góoma la da ngeen may kompaloo man ngeen di kompaloo nañ dem ci office
xanaa nërmelu nga
ma ne nee naa nga lañ laa wax
nee naa la ku ko mën la ku koy jéem duñu benn ak loto game ak ay bonus sama xéwalam yu bari fii rek la du feneen
Good evening and welcome to another edition of KERR FATOU. Tonight we have the pleasure of having the ambassador of Paris, France, to Dakar and the Gambia, Ambassador Christophe Bigot. Thank you for coming to Gambia and also coming to our studios here on KERR FATOU. Tonight we're going to talk to him about Paris-Gambia relations, of course, and he was also here to see the President of the Republic and other government officials. Like I said some time ago, the international community stood by Gambia when we needed them most, especially Paris. Gambia was desperate for change. A lot of people stood by us when it was tough, and France was one of those countries. And tonight it's a pleasure having you here to talk to us about Gambia-France relationship, and of course, what are the plans that these two governments have in helping bringing our people together. Daddy, it's a pleasure having him on our studios here.
Thank you, and welcome home to the Gambia, Ambassador Bigot, because Gambia is part of his portfolio and assignment.
Mm-hmm.
The French government and the Gambia has for the longest had bilateral ties.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a kid going to a place called Foyer at Alliance Française, Alliance Franco.
Mm-hmm.
My kids go to the French school, which is part of l'AFE. So there is a relationship between the two countries, and I think it has been warm relationships for the longest of time, but unfortunately, during the Jammeh era, I think there was disengagement, and this disengagement culturally has costed Gambia a lot in terms of programs that the two countries used to enjoy significantly. It's the new Gambia. We're in a process of building a new nation, and in this rebuilding, we're looking for economic opportunities. We're looking for socio-cultural ties. And what better to have the representative of the French government in the Gambia, in our studios, to come and tell us the way forward and what these bilateral ties will look like in the future, both for the corporate world, that's corporate Gambia and corporate France, and also on the public side of things, Gambia and France, how we're going to relate, because the people of the Gambia are very much so interested in this, and it's a good way to sensitize the general public going forward on our new relationship.
A relationship that Gambians obviously will value. We have the ambassador in our studios. The first ambassador to be in our studios.
Good evening, Your Excellency, and it's a pleasure to have you here tonight. And as Daddy has said, Gambia and France have really enjoyed bilateral relationships in the past, but then because of a change of government, because of the government we had previously, that relationship had actually been strained. And for you to come here and sit and speak to us, it's definitely showing that the Gambia is going towards a direction that we're yearning for, that we all are looking forward to. So again, welcome to KERR FATOU, and we just let you introduce yourself whilst we look at the way forward and what France has for the youth of the Gambia and what should we expect from the French government.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. First and foremost, what's the purpose of your visit to Gambia?
Well, I've been visiting Gambia for quite numerous times. The first time was during GAMBIA era. It was in November 2016. And already at that time, a lot of people were telling me that there was a change upcoming. Nobody was, of course, in a position to forecast the magnitude of the change, but there was already that feeling. And I had opportunities to meet with President Barrow, who was at that time President-elect. It was in Dakar several times. And of course, I was in the big stadium when you had this huge event, very popular, with there was a feeling of such enthusiasm for the new democratic Gambia, which was on its way. And from there on, we tried to be as supportive as possible of your country. As you know, the first official visit that President Adama Barrow paid outside Africa was for France. And we had a 3 days visit, and he had the opportunity to meet with the president, with the ministers, with the president of the parliament, and I think this was very fruitful. This support was natural. First of all, I think the message is for the Gambian people, of course, but it's a message for Africa and for the whole world to have been able to go from a dictatorship to democracy just through an election without any violence. And I think this was a very powerful message. And the second element, of course, is that we think it's very important for the region and for Senegal in particular, where I'm located, to build on this democratic factor, to have a normal, harmonized relationship between the two states, the two people. We are aware of the past, so let's try to build a positive future. And from there on, we've tried to work with President Adama Barrow on several issues, whether it's security. I've just met with my Fati, and we will assign to him, as he requested, French security advisor, Colonel John Venot, that will help him, as he asked for, to implement the reform of the service of security. Another move was to reopen the diplomatic antenna. We decided to close that antenna some time ago during GAMBIA era because there was basically no real purpose. I mean, there were no exchange and active cooperation. But now, in this new Gambia, we thought there was a lot to do, so we are going to reopen this diplomatic antenna. And I think in no longer than 2 weeks, a diplomat will be posted here in Banjul. I think that's an important move. And in between, we've tried to be helpful in other fields like education or like transitional justice. I had several meetings with the Minister of Justice here, who, as you know, is a brilliant prosecutor in the field of international justice when he was in Arusha, and is a good testimony of what is the new Gambia, someone with expertise and openness. And so we try to help him as much as possible in that field, which is a difficult one, truth and reconciliation, so to provide with some expertise on what has been done in the rest of the world on that topic. So these are just a few items I wanted to mention, and I'm glad to be here, but I've been there already. I think it's my 5th visit. I've been to the countryside. I was in Farafeni, and I went even beyond Farafeni. I don't know this. I think John Jambure. That's the name. I was going to say Georgetown, but John Jambure. Wow. And I visited also the old stones of the medieval era. Exactly. You have there in Senegal and in the Gambia, and I think also it's a very valuable contribution. So we'll see whatever can be done, whether it's about justice, economy, security, or education. I'm glad to see that there are numerous French-speaking Gambians. I know they all went to the school, French school. or whether they went to the Franco, the Alliance, which is on the main avenue, but obviously, or whether they have some kind of Senegalese families or accents. Yeah. But I'm quite impressed by the level of Francophonia here in your country.
Thank you. Your Excellency, you just mentioned that a diplomat will be coming to Gambia in a couple of weeks' time. Is it going to be an embassy or a consulate? What is it going to be?
It will be a diplomatic antenna. That is, he will rely on the resources from Dakar. He will be under my, supervision maybe it looks a bit too strong. Okay. And his name is Hugues Nordy. And he has been a consul general in Düsseldorf and chargé d'affaires in Gabon. And so he has experience and expertise. And so his competence will extend largely the one of a consular. He will be able to deal with culture, security, education, and but also consular whenever it's possible. Because, of course, it's an important move, but it's not a full-size embassy.
So in terms of like visas, we still have to go all the way to Senegal, or we can get Gambian visas processed?
I understand, of course, it's very cumbersome to have to go to Dakar to get a visa. Yes. I can only agree. We are considering options with a private company, which name I think is VFS, to check with them if they could open a desk here that would facilitate the delivery of visa. But it's still under process, so we have not yet come to a conclusion with VFS. It depends, as it is a private company, of how they see, let's say, the market. I mean, they need to see whether there are a lot of applicants or not.
Daddy, this is a great move. 22 years, we haven't got something like this. New Gambia has opened doors for Gambia, for Gambians, and Gambians residing in this country. This is a great move by the French government. What's your take on the consulate, or the mini embassy, if you might call it?
Well, first of all, Gambia Open for Business has become a reality. Yes. And right now, Gambia is looking more for economic cooperation first, then security. Why? We're coming from a 22 years of shutdown. When I say shutdown, Gambia has been left out of the development window. Where Gambia is today, basically, is a retardation. We could have been much, much ahead. And sometimes all it takes is for you to just cross the border to Karang, not only Dakar, but just in Karang, you see the buoyancy of the Senegalese economy relative to the Gambian economy. Multiple transactions and a sleepy Gambian economy. Things are changing. So having a diplomatic window in Gambia or an interest section, I think, is a step in the right direction, and it will further open up Gambia. Subsequently, we hoping in the next 18 to 24 months, because everything in public finance has to go through budgeting. There's a wish of wanting an embassy. There's also a program, meaning it's programmed within the French fiscal system. So I'm sure in the next 36 months or so, Gambia do hope to have a full-fledged embassy and be counted amongst the League of Nations rather than an antenna. But for a start, that's more than enough comparing where we're coming from. So it's a great start, and we're honored.
We're going to do our best. And by the way, I should mention that you have upgraded your consulate in Paris to an embassy in Paris. And I was very glad to meet with Ambassador Job, your ambassador to Paris. Yeah. And regarding economic issues, which I did not really elaborate on that, and I've led the delegation, I think it was in May, in Banjul, of 20 French entrepreneurs, so they could, have a better view, a better understanding of the market here, the opportunities for investment. And I think because this is important, as you say, it's important to put the Gambia on the map. Yes. There was obviously lack of awareness of what were the opportunities here in the Gambia.
Okay, that's great. But then We all know about the illegal immigrants, like Gambians going through the back way. Most of them, they get to Italy and then they get into, because of the whole border system, some get into Paris, France, some would go to Germany. But I just wanted to know what your government are doing to help these migrants, or in terms of either working with the Gambia government, because some of them are actually coming back, so in terms of support for infrastructures to be built so they could be they could utilize them, develop skills, or the ones that are already in Paris or between the border. What help is being offered to these people, especially the youths?
Well, I mean, in France, we do offer support, whether they are Gambians or Senegalese or Malians or from Mauritania. We do not, distinguish between nations. It looks obvious, but as we know, it's not always the case. So we do not make a distinction. As we are restarting our relationship in some way, we have not yet put the focus of our relation on immigration. I think it's an important issue, but it has not yet been put on the set of our priorities. But it's true that regarding immigration, I think we have to, there's a various array of issues we have to deal with. First of all, I think we have to be clear with the people who want to migrate that they are going to suffer a lot. Yeah. And they face the risk of becoming slaves, being racketed, tortured when they go through Libya, without even mentioning the risk of being drowned going through the waters of the Mediterranean Sea. And we have also to be clear that, Europe is no longer this kind of El Dorado where the money will be flowing and it will be, Disneyland. Well, Disneyland is located in Paris, yes. But, this is not the whole Europe. So I think we have really to be clear, and I think it's important to know that people got the message, they are going to face dramas, and at the end of the story, their best dream would be maybe to return. So, and beside this, of course, we have to fight against the traffickers, the ones who are trafficking people. And I think we have to look at this maybe on a more active way and to elaborate on regional cooperation so that each step of the travel, we do find these people. Whether they are in Libya, whether they are in Niger, in Mali, in Senegal, or in Gambia. I think this is important, and this is obviously a coordinated effort. And then, of course, the main answer is through being able to support development. Why do these people, who are maybe the brightest young people all around, are living? So offering them employment, offering them some hopes, I think is the best way to fight. So you see, you have to look at this at different angles. Supporting people when they arrive in France, but telling them that the best thing for them is to return. Being also as much as possible, helping them when they are leaving Libya. Mediterranean Sea is not supposed to be the graveyard of humanity. But it's a very difficult mission. The best way would be to have a cooperation of the Libyan authorities, and for that we need Libyan authorities. So we need a kind of stability of this country, security. But on the long run, I think the growth that Africa is enjoying, especially the western part of Africa, which is one of the most booming regions, I think is the best answer. When you see a growth of rate in Senegal, as I'm located in Senegal, between 6 and 7%, this offers hope that on the long run, people will understand that, for them, the best investment is to be part of this growth.
The best is to be part of this growth. We're going to take our first commercial break, but when we come back, We will talk more about the bilateral relation between Paris and the Gambia with Ambassador. We take a first commercial break.
Universal Properties, the dynamic and most trusted agency in real estate and property management.
We are here to make housing affordable, accessible for every Gambian, despite their financial status.
What makes Universal outstanding in the market is our flexible payment plans.
We set standards in sales and letting of quality properties, mortgage, leasing, rentals, property valuation, construction, and many more.
All our sites are fitted with social amenities such as schools, water, electricity, praying ground, and a good road network. In Sukuta Phase 1 and 2, Jambanjeli, Sanyang, Brikama, Lamin Daranka, and Gunjur coming up soon.
Doing business with Universal Properties, it's a very wonderful experience.
Universal Properties, FIB House, Caraba Avenue.
There are many who can't do small or big projects with the same dedication and commitment as we do. With a reputation as the leading printing company in the country, when it comes to major projects and innovative solutions, we always deliver in high quality, thus receiving the trust and confidence of our clients. From the moment your order is placed to when it is delivered, we believe in exceeding expectations from the sales manager to the production team, the account manager, and the person delivering your material. We have state-of-the-art equipment and a highly experienced and competent workforce that enables us to deliver top quality work on time. At reasonable prices, we provide our clients with multiple solutions right from conceptualizing, designing, printing, binding, publishing, and distribution. For all your printing requirements, we are strategically located at the Sankumsila Highway, the Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation. We print what you desire.
The Gambia Revenue Authority wishes to inform the general public that income earned from the letting or leasing of property is taxable as per the Income and Value Added Tax Act 2012. In this regard, the general public is hereby informed that payment of rental income tax is an obligation on any person who earns income from letting or leasing properties. All rental income earned from properties in the Gambia is subjected to rental income tax. There are two types of rental income tax. A residential rental income tax charged at the rate of 10% of gross rent received. Commercial rental income charged at the rate of 15% of gross rent received. It is important to note that failure to declare and pay rental income tax is illegal and punishable under the Income and Value Added Tax Act 2012. To pay your rental income tax, rush to the nearest GRA domestic tax office or any of GRA's designated banks. Remember to pay your taxes and on time. GRA, collecting revenue for national development.
Welcome back to KERR FATOU with His Excellency Ambassador Bigot from Dakar. Just like we were talking about the relationship between Gambia and Paris, it's been 9 months since the new government. What's your assessment of the entire situation, the government, the situation in Gambia? You've visited the Gambia, you've been to Janjambure, you've been to other places. What's your assessment of the government and, of course, the people of the Gambia?
Well, you know, I think you had to face huge challenges, whether it's a political one, whether it's a security one, whether it's an economic one. And of course, after the departure of Jammeh, I'm sure there is a great level of hope and expectations and impatience.
Yes.
And so you have to deal with this impatience, which can be the best fuel to advance, to go ahead. But of course, impatience can provide also some feeling of bitterness because the pace is never as quick as you expect, as you hope. But I've seen, for the last months that changes are made on the ground. And as I said, we do our best, in a modest way, to be supportive, whether it's through our action or whether it's also through the European Union. As you know, we do play some role within European Union with some of our friends, or whether it's through the financial institutions like the World Bank, who is also very supportive of the action taken by the government.
France is a great player in the European Union, and we have recently seen the EU delegation that visited and also gave a big support to the government in resettling immigrants, which is a very, very huge step in helping resettle people that are returning back to the country, because this is a huge factor in our society. A lot of our youths are leaving this country through the back way. Families are losing out. People are dying in the desert. The European Union is playing a very big part in helping this government to create funds and to support the youth that are returning back, which is very important. And your government, the French government, is an integral part, in fact, a major part in the European Union.
Yes, I think, you know, Germany, Italy, Spain, and I would like to say for 1 or 2 more years, the United Kingdom.
Yes.
So we do play as much as possible our role, and there was this summit in La Valette 3 years ago, I think, who was decisive to lead the European Union to be more active on the immigration issue, and to support countries that do their best and to be on the ground promoting projects that help giving, you know, employment to the people.
You've mentioned education as being one of the pillars that the French government would help the Gambia government. So should we be hopeful that there are scholarships coming our way, or is it they're just going to open another school? I mean, because we have a population, we have a very youthful population, so hearing these things would really entice us to do well in school, so we can be part of, you know, benefit from these scholarships. So are those still are they under plate for us, or?
Well, education is definitely a key issue. Just to flag that, for example, President Emmanuel Macron, the French president, will be in Dakar in February, of course, to celebrate the intensity of the relationship between France and Senegal, but also because in February we have in Dakar what is called in French the Partenariat Mondial pour l'Éducation. I think it's Global Partnership for Education. So, because for us, education is really the key element. Regarding the Gambia, we are very supportive of the French school.
Yes.
By the way, you know, we would like to welcome more kids in that school, because with 80, 85 kids, I mean, this is a little bit, you know, under what we could expect. I think we need more kids. After this, regarding your question regarding les bourses, les scholarships, I mean, you know, the quality of the French system, if I may say, is that it is free. I mean, studies in France are free of charge. So what is the best scholarship than that one? It's free of charge. You pay the same price whether you are French or whether you're coming from the Gambia or from Mali or from Burkina Faso.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
And Gambia has enjoyed quite a lot of French scholarships in the past. And if you've noticed, a lot of people in the foreign services, some now in the UN system, students from Marseille, Bordeaux, Sorbonne. So the relationship has been there. But our biggest problem right now as a country and as a continent, I think, is the ACP agreement we call the Cotonou Agreement.
We call it Cotonou also.
Yeah, the Cotonou Agreement, basically, I don't know how most countries signed it, but in terms of trade, it's not too balanced. And we cannot always be asking for handouts. Why? The countries that were in a position to help us are now going through socio-economic issues, and there's what we call donor fatigue. The people who were giving are no longer in a position to give. So project that 5-10 years down the line, inflow of aid from Western Europe will go down. But why should someone give you if you can create wealth? But the best way to create wealth is to trade. So the trading regimes between the EU proper, the countries of the EU, and some of these ACP countries like Gambia needs to be revisited. And as a student of economics, I do hope that the ACP member states will open another round of trade negotiations, because with trade, we can prosper. When we prosper, less scholarships because we will have good schools. Health, we can take care of ourselves. What we need right now is to help in the security sector reforms. What we need is to build our institutional capacities. What we need as help right now is to make sure that we instill good governance. And this is where countries like France can come in, because they have best practice. We can benchmark from their prior experiences so that the learning curve will be shorter. So technical assistance is big on our list, not only on security, but governance as a whole.
No, I agree that obviously, I mean, if we want development, you need to promote trade and investment. I have a much more positive approach, I have to say, regarding this Cotonou Agreement, especially in its revised form. It has been much improved. Maybe there are still some avenues that can be improved. It goes without saying. I would, regarding development and providing loans, I think it's still needed. It's still needed. And just to flag one example, next week we will be glad to host the Minister of Finance, Mr. Sane, whom I visited this morning. And one of the hot topics would be to look at the burden for you of your debt. As you know, the Gambian debt, I think, is something like 120% of the GDP, which is, I think, the third highest figure in Africa. And so we need to look at this debt so that it will no longer be such a burden, to be more manageable, and that will not be an obstacle to your development. So we look at this issue during a fora which is related to the debt issue. It will be next week, and I'm sure that all the donors and the loaners will be together to look at this on this issue. You know, as we say in Wolof, Nyofar, we need to be together on that issue.
Actually, I think we have done that in the past through the Paris Club. You know, we have the Paris Club window, and Gambia has benefited a lot through the Paris Club, both on HIPIC 1 and HIPIC 2. But on the debt, our problem right now is not the external debt per se, but our locally contracted domestic debt. And with that, it's difficult to have debt forgiveness because you're owing individuals.
You're owing to the people, and
yes.
you're owing to your people.
Yes. So it's a good step in the right direction. And less debt means more money for development and more money for social services, schools, hospitals, and also the growth of agriculture. But the biggest problem that we've been facing, once again, are subsidies. Subsidies from, you know, European industries. It's affecting not only Gambia, but the growth of the African economy, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, because a country like Gambia wants to produce groundnut to be sold to Cadbury, Nestle, and others. But the price we are having today, just like Senegal, they're suffering through Sonacos, trying to sell good quality nuts into the global markets. And unless these trading regimes change positively, we will not register significant economic growth and prosperity for the poor Gambian farmer, the poor value-adding person, or even the transformation once these products are transformed in Europe and brought back to us. So there is no parity in terms of the trading regimes. Yes, it has gotten better from where it was to where it is, but there is still room for improvement. And that improvement can only happen through moral suasion. That's when countries bilaterally and multilaterally talk to each other so that we understand that it has to be a win-win situation. Whenever we have a win-loss situation, we have more people going the back way, and it becomes a burden to both. You know, if Europe doesn't come to Gambia, Gambia will go to Europe, unfortunately. And when Gambia goes to Europe, it comes with problems. The problems is you will have Gambians sleeping in the streets of Rome, Barcelona. It's not nice, but it adds crime. it's not nice, it becomes a burden on the social services of those countries. So a fairer trading regime means less interaction because the people will want to stay closer to home and develop their home base.
I understand your argument, but I mean, I don't think the European system is less a problem. I mean, it's not such a problem, if I may say, if you compare to other economic systems who are less open to African products. But of course, we can always make some improvements. And by the way, I think agriculture is definitely should be one of the priorities because it provides, of course, goes without saying, food. And it's important in terms of how you say autosufficiency.
Self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficiency. Yeah, that's very important. The second element is employment. I think it's highly necessary. And third, most of the agriculture can be also beneficial to for providing food also for the living stocks. So this is very important. And here I think you have opportunities, as you have the river, and with a good irrigation system, I think you could do a lot. Yes. I've seen what has been done by the Senegal River in the north of the country. It's impressive, You can change really salty land into a land which is very profitable, and it will not be only big business. It's not only 100 hectares. It can be also family-like properties, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hectares. Yes. So I think this is one of a very important avenue. But the issue is not only about trade; it's also about training the people, providing them land, being able to invest in irrigation system, and also come with the right, I don't know what's the word in English, les semences. I mean, you need, now to fight the salt, to fight the drought, you need specific semences. What's the word in English? I don't know. Crops, yes, crops. And there's been a lot of work, for example, done by the CIRAD and IRD, which are two research institutes on these issues, and I'm sure they could be beneficial also for the Gambian land farmers. Yes. I think this is a key point. And it doesn't need to relate to the issue of immigration. I understand what you want to say by that. But the very fact that it serves your people is much enough. You don't need to add additional purpose, Yes. And I'm sure when I've been through the country, when I've been to Farafeni and even further, I've seen that there are a lot of opportunities. I've discussed this issue with the company Fruitière, and they were interested, to work on, for example, on banana bio. Yeah. Good. Exactly, and their problem was not about trade. It was about access to land, and it was about training the farmers, because this is very delicate work. But if you're able to have the access to land and train farmers, then you can what is called the counter season. There is a market in Europe, and I'm sure in other places, for this banana bio. Yes. Well, this is just an example, yes. Not more than this. But I think there are opportunities.
You also mentioned Justice Department. Yes. What specific areas do you think the French government can help our Justice Department? The Gambia have gone through a lot in the past 22 years. We need reforms. Our constitution, we're going to have constitutional reforms. We have reforms in our other private systems. What specific areas do you think you can help in our justice system?
Well, let's be modest, where we can only provide with some assistance here and there. Yeah. I've been discussing the issue several times with your Minister of Justice, and I said earlier how much esteem I have for him. And we are dealing on two issues. The first one is the training of some of the people of the Ministry of Justice. And the second issue is about providing some expert about transitional justice, the process of truth and reconciliation which is a very delicate one. Truth and reconciliation, it's a kind of, dynamic interaction.
Very interesting. And it's tourist season. And is there any collaboration? Is there anything that you're working with the tourist department, tourism department, tourism board to see? We want to see more of tourists from Paris and French tourists coming to the Gambia, because, like I said before, a lot of these people will not visit this country because of instability and the nature of our country. But today, as you said, Gambia is open for business.
Well, it's true that most of the French tourists that do go to Senegal, and obviously the difference between Senegal and the Gambia is that the mastering of the French language.
Yes.
So I think if you want to attract more French tourists, I think the more you are in a position to learn French, that's one recipe number one. The other aspect is, as you have a lot of French people, for example, in Casamance.
Yes.
I think whenever you can have a kind of integrated travel where you have, 4 days in the Gambia, 4 days in Casamance, in Kafountine, or in other places, I think that's also another way, to kind of to bridge the two countries, and it will be beneficial for the Senegal and for the Gambia, and you will attract more tourists. Another aspect, of course, is to increase the flow of aircrafts. The Minister of Tourism, I had several meetings with him in the past, was putting the focus, for example, on asking KLM and Air France, the same group, to open here in Escale station, I don't know, what's the name? How do you call it?
To have a stop here.
To have a stop here in Banjul. Well, that's for KLM and Air France to make the decision, but obviously this will change the economic dynamic.
Yes. Absolutely, Fatou. And tourism has a direct and an indirect benefit. There is what you call a routes package. That's James Island, Kunta Kinte. A lot of French visitors from France do come to Sali and Cap Skirring, and sometimes they venture across to come to James Island. So indirectly, we are receiving French tourists coming through Senegalese tour packages locally to see James Island, the home of Kunta Kinte. But the hospitality business need to invest a little bit more in the French culture if we want French tourists, because we need French cuisine in the hotels, and we need French speakers to make sure that these people are well accommodated when they come. So tourism, first, you need the resources and the human resource for that matter, then the tourists will come. So it's time for Gambia to invest in the language, and that's why we have Semen Francophonie in Gambia, and the language is being promoted, and not only in schools, but with the professional cadre of Gambians to understand French. And that's why when you go to Alliance Franco, they have different levels of French instruction to teach people the French language. So I think it's a win-win for Gambia and Gambians to expose themselves to an alternative language, and French in this matter, and it opens up opportunity, because when you have a plus in language, it's a plus in opportunity.
And I think Gambians have actually realized that, because if you go to the Alliance Franco, you'll see a lot of Gambians, especially the young people. Before, it used to be more like to me, I thought it was a center for adults. So I wasn't really interested, but now you see a lot of young people actually going there to learn the language, which is
concerts,
everything, they're utilizing it.
And it's not only work, it's also fun.
Yes. So the center is actually being utilized a lot now. So yes, and then we're hoping that, as you said, you had meetings with the tourism minister, and then we're hoping that they're actually listening, so we can, even if a French hotel can actually just open, something here, then that way, the French tourists can know, okay, Not only there's the Gambian or the English-speaking hotels, but yes, we do have a little, a French thing where we can go to. But then we just hope they're taking notes so that we can get more French tourists coming around and then, just improve on the bilateral relationship.
I think you're right. You're two excellent, I have to say, advocates of the Franco. I would add another dimension, which is the regional dimension. I think not only the Gambia is back. The Gambia is back, and it's also on the map. It's also important that the Gambia is really part of the region. And being part of the region, which is speaking either French or Portuguese, is mastering one or the two of these languages that will facilitate grandly, of course, your interaction with the region. Not really with Senegal, because you master Wolof, Diola, and Pulaar, and so you say Dieu, and Diarama, Abaraka, okay. But if you want to discuss with Mali, with Burkina Faso, with Chad and Niger, I think this will really help your regional integration. You are no longer an island,
Yes.
You have neighbors.
Yes.
And you have friendly neighbors.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, I think this is a very, very interesting discussion. Thank you very much, Ambassador. What's going to be your final message to Gambians that are watching you right now?
Well, I think they are part, of this movement. Democracy do not rely only on the government; it relies on the people.
Yes.
And so I hope that they will keep this enthusiasm, this energy, the one when I felt when I was in the stadium in February. It will be with them, and it will be the engine, for their development and their growth.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Daddy.
Well, it's been an honor and a privilege to have Ambassador Christophe Bigot of Gambia and Senegal representing France to grace our show. We've had ministers, we've had all sorts of people, but he is the first diplomat to come to our show. And I think the issues raised here are of importance to both countries. And Gambia is in search of partners. Gambia is in search of friends. And Gambia is in a process of mending old friendships. And the France-Gambia friendship is an old friend, as old as a French bottle of wine. So, bringing it back together will just make the wine better. So we're looking for a good bottle of wine from Rams.
Thank you, Daddy.
As I just said in the beginning, we're very honored to have you here. And then we've been saying that KERR FATOU is a show where it's a platform where everybody's welcome. So to have a diplomat as an ambassador from France to Senegal, for Senegal and Gambia, I mean, we're really, really honored to have you here. And everything we've talked about here, I guess people are watching and they would learn from it, and then they'll know that the doors are open. Gambia is open for business. Gambia, the new Gambia it's definitely a reality, because people might have just think after the elections and we had a change of government, that's why it stopped. But then having even, as I said, a mini embassy coming here, again, it shows that definitely Gambia is open for business. Gambia is open to mend relationship with all friends, and as my brother here has said, other friends are welcome. If they're not coming, we would go and find them to mend that relationship. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much, Oli, and thank you very much, Ambassador. Just like my colleague said, the Gambia is open for business, but Paris has been there for us when we needed them, and we want to thank the people of Paris through you and your embassy for the support that was rendered to the Gambian people. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming to our studios. You're being the first diplomat, and we hope to have more of them to come and grace our studios. And Gambia is open for business, and the new Gambia is a reality. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for facilitating it, Daddy and the rest of the crew. We want to thank them. We want to thank our production team on behalf of the crew. Thank you very much, and good night to you all.